Master, I must caution you against tampering with the events of any of the worlds we visit.
Data were not Marvel's watchers, bound by creed to just watch over the universe and tell the tales of these MCs to the masses and not really, and I mean really, get into the story firsthand.
Please adhere to the rulebook code, especially considering the potential consequences.
This tale begins with the solemn image of Vikir van Baskerville's head, resting upon the guillotine, facing unjust accusations of associating with the demon clan despite his unwavering loyalty to the Baskerville family. In the shadows of his impending demise, I, a mysterious figure, presented him with a tempting offer for a second chance at life. However, this resurrection would not restore him as a mere hound. Instead, I proposed a unique twist. I would transport him back to a time before these dire events, and he would re-enter the world with the memories of his previous life intact. In this new iteration, I would be the one pulling the strings, steering the course of his destiny while he retained full recollection of his past. Facing the inevitability of his execution, Vikir, driven by the allure of a different fate, agreed to my enigmatic terms. As the blade descended upon him, I activated Data's quantum leap, propelling us both back to the very beginning, where the threads of his life would unravel once more.
Suddenly, I awoke in a cradle, disoriented and bewildered. The surroundings were chaotic, and my body felt foreign, prompting thoughts of being in hell. The nursery I found myself in echoed with the cries of numerous children. But why the hell am I a child? I could understand if I was an adolescent, but Data when I said take me back to the beginning. I didn't mean fresh out his mother as the beginning.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't end up materializing in the middle of childbirth. Can you imagine the chaos? Doctor, congratulations. It's a time traveler.
Data, if I find out you could have controlled this leap, I'm going to fill your hard drive full of Disney Star Wars and amp your human emotion circuits up to 11.
I'm not pulling a Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky on you, Master.
Somehow I feel you're doing this to teach me a lesson, but anyway. Hugo Le Baskerville, the patriarch of the family, moved about the room, inspecting each cradle. He callously dismissed the cries of other children as insignificant, even labeling them as trash. However, when he approached my cradle, he noticed my unusual silence. Hugo, in his authority, ordered my transfer to the Cradle of Swords. Lying there, I gazed up at Hugo with a profound hatred in my eyes, fully aware that he was the mastermind behind the false charges and Vikir's subsequent execution. Vikir had undergone training to become a faithful servant. Loyalty to the family and particularly to Hugo, his fidelity led to a death sentence. The motive behind his execution was clear. He knew too much. He swore vengeance. Yet, in my infantile form, I felt powerless. The transfer to the Cradle of Swords, however, presented an opportunity for me to grow stronger. Born into the Baskerville family, the children faced a daunting trial known as the Cradle of Swords. This intricate maze of blades served as their initiation, and success meant reaching the Styx River for the transformative examination. The Styx River turned our bodies into iron, yet its effects were limited to a certain number of children. Speed was of the essence, and navigating the helix-shaped wall of blades to reach the Styx River first was a formidable challenge. I unexpectedly tumbled into the Styx River. The water infiltrated my cuts, inflicting agonizing pain, yet I knew endurance was crucial. Meanwhile, Hugo observed with anticipation, consulting the head butler on the time elapsed since my entry into the river. 7 minutes, but Hugo beckoned me to surface. I continued absorbing the Styx River's essence, resolved not to relinquish this chance easily. Water entering my mouth, I urged myself to endure. The brink of drowning loomed, yet I knew I must persist. Just as it seemed I might succumb, Hugo arrogantly yanked me from the water. He inquired about my name, learning it was Vikir van Baskerville. A smirk played on Hugo's lips as he dubbed me a very greedy son. In my semi-conscious state, determined to hone my canines in secret, the time would come to exact revenge, and I vowed to be the architect of the Baskerville family's disappearance into history. I awoke in a nursery, realizing that I had successfully absorbed the Styx River.
Master, just to keep you in the loop, Vikir is still fully aware of all your shenanigans while you're hitching a ride in his body. We wouldn't want any memory gaps or unexplained experiences once you decide to leap out.
Data, you're sounding more like one of those systems from those system-based stories.
Well, unlike with those series, I can only give you access to Vikir's memories and past experiences muscle memory.
The door creaked open, and a maid entered. The maid departed after placing a box on my bed, and upon opening it, I was startled to find 2 venomous mambas inside.
Master, I must also inform you that if Vikir was to die, you would die too, as I don't have enough power to leap you out of his body.
What? Why are you telling me something as important as that now? Fuck it. How long is it going to take for you to recharge the quantum leap?
Well, till you're able to learn and use aura. So that way I will have the necessary energy to start the recharge.
I'm going to fry your hard drive if I survive this. As the mambas hissed threateningly, I seized them with my bare hands. fueled by Vikir's burning hatred that vowed to bring down the entire Baskerville family. The next day, the shocking discovery of me peacefully sleeping beside the lifeless vipers rocked the Baskerville community. Despite the execution of all the nannies who were on duty that night, the reason for the vipers' presence remained a mystery. 8 years later, I found myself in class, absorbing the teachings of swordsmanship. Astonishment filled the room as the teacher revealed that Sir Hugo, the strongest of the Baskervilles, held the title of a sword master. The revelation left all the students, myself included, in a state of surprise and disbelief. I was lost in thought and felt the need to regain the power he had prior to his regression before the coming-of-age ceremony. The teacher noticed my distracted state and thought highly of me, and that the patriarch would be very happy to know about my progress. As I was lost in thought about how many years I needed to kill Hugo, I didn't notice the triplets giving me an evil look after class. After class was over, they pushed me into one of the empty rooms and started mocking me, calling me garbage van, and talked about the rumors about how I dove in the Styx River and strangled 2 vipers to death when he was just a baby.
Master, I recognized the triplets as the ones who had stabbed Vikir in the past when he was running away after the defamation. They were known as Hugo of Baskerville's Trident, and their names were Highborough of Baskerville, Middleborough of Baskerville, and Lowborough of Baskerville, all 9 years old.
Really now? So that means they're fair game and long overdue for a bit of payback then. The triplets continued to taunt me, thinking that they were going to be a real pain in the ass in just 10 years and that it might be a good idea to put them in their place now. One of them brandished a knife and went on about a rumor he had heard, that if you stayed in the Styx River for long enough, your body would become like steel and you would be impervious to injury from blades. The other 2 triplets eagerly echoed their agreement, while the third gave the order for one of the others to hold me still. My mouth was covered by one of them and said I could bite his hand if I endure this for 3 minutes. I played along with this cruel game for a moment. 1 minute passed, 3 minutes passed, 10 minutes passed, but I remained unscathed, and the triplets began to realize that the legend they had heard was true. As the triplet holding me let go, he noticed blood on his hand and realized that his finger was missing. I then spat out the triplet's finger from my mouth.
Master, biting off one of his fingers is going a bit too far.
How so? A deal's a deal. The triplet was shocked and asked me what I was doing. I reminded the triplet of his promise to eat his own hand. Meanwhile, the other 2 triplets were trying to calm down the situation and suggested that they go to a priest to put the finger back. But I was not interested in that and instead responded by saying who said they could go. The triplet then attacked me with a knife. I did not dodge the attack and allowed the knife to stick, but to the triplet's surprise, it could not pierce my skin. I twisted the triplet's hand and reminded them that they had forgotten that they were in Baskerville. Here, power and talent overcome age. I suggested that we continue playing until the end. I twisted the triplet's hands mercilessly, causing him to cry out in pain. The triplets, terrified, looked at each other in shock. I punched the triplet, knocking him to the ground, while the other 2 watched in disbelief. The third triplet attacked me in a fit of anger, but I kicked him in the face, sending him crashing down to the ground. I stood over them, cold and unfeeling. I told them they would get better with treatment, but I also made it clear that I would be generous and allow one of them to leave. The triplets were surprised and relieved to hear this, and asked which one could leave. I picked up a knife and threw it in front of the triplets, telling them that they would have to decide for themselves who would leave the room. Then I started to leave, but not before turning back and issuing a stern remark that I won't wait long, so decide quickly.
Master, either you're relishing the role of playing the villain while still being the hero, or Vikir is exerting a strong influence on your actions.
Who knows? But what I do know is that I'm going to play my part to the fullest extent. I'm going to be Heath Ledger's Joker in this world. Beyond the closed door of the Patriarch's office, the head butler delivered news to my father that I had secured the highest score in the written exam, setting the stage for the impending practical exam. However, John hesitated. Hugo inquired about casualties. John reassured him that there were none but detailed the injuries sustained by the trio. While physical recovery had occurred, my father questioned the disharmony among the closely knit young masters. John then revealed the source of the discord: me. I had not only wounded the trio, but also topped the written exam. Patriarch Hugo decided to address the matter directly. Summoning me to his office, he prepared to unravel the complexities surrounding my actions and the turmoil I had sown among the young masters.
Master WB, I crafted this mindscape to enable interaction between you and Vikir. It seems that Hugo's imposing presence has unsettled Master Vikir.
Vikir, what are you doing? Unlike in the past, your killing intent threatens to unravel all the efforts I've invested over these years. I must caution you that my quantum leap ability has been restored, so if you push us toward premature death, I won't hesitate to make my exit.
I apologize, WB, but being a passive observer has left me restless. Watching everything unfold like a dream eventually became maddening, prompting me to awaken from that slumber. I understand the agreement with you taking the driver's seat, but I propose a partnership where I'm not relegated to the back of the you would say, bus. With me in the passenger seat, I believe our merger will significantly enhance our strength and speed, leading to an even stronger fighting ability.
Master WB, I possess the ability to create a temporary fusion between the two of you. This fusion would be akin to Vegeta or Gogeta from Dragon Ball. However, Master Vikir, I must caution you that utilizing this fusion will impose a significant toll on your mental energy, potentially leading to a return to that slumber until you regenerate. To effectively use this fusion in combat, both of you will need time to acclimate and synchronize your abilities.
Fuck it. Not like I got anything to lose besides having another voice in my head. Patriarch Hugo couldn't help but acknowledge the growth I had undergone since our last meeting. The conversation shifted to the incident involving the 9-year-old triplets in my senior class. I explained that they had received proper medical treatment. However, Hugo redirected the discussion, delving into the realm of emotional damage rather than physical disabilities. He articulated how my actions had torn apart the brothers' relationship and questioned whether I believed what I did was wrong. In response, I posed my own question, challenging Hugo to specify what exactly I had done wrong. Patriarch Hugo pointed out the emotional wreckage I had left in my wake, turning the brothers' lives into chaos. Undeterred, I maintained a confident gaze with my crimson eyes, asserting that strength was on my side. The unspoken implication lingered. How could the stronger person be considered wrong? Patriarch Hugo seemed utterly captivated by the unfolding situation, his enthusiasm akin to that of a starved child presented with a great feast. Seizing the initiative, Vikir took the lead, playing into the dramatic flair of the moment. The sudden surge of our combined presence, driven by the fusion or soul resonance of our two souls while spouting words he loved to hear, forced Hugo to suppress a burgeoning smile. He then embarked on an unexpected discourse regarding the concept of forgiveness, and I couldn't help but question. They forgave me? In a sardonic twist of fate, I regurgitated the very words he had once spoken to a forgiving nun, driving home the point. Forgiveness is but an excuse of the weak who lack the strength to seek revenge. While expounding on the significance of strength and retribution, Hugo nodded in evident approval, his eyes agleam with shared sentiment. He then turned his attention to the head butler, Barrymore, and in an act of unusual generosity, granted me unrestricted access to the food storage, permitting me to help myself to an ample supply of snacks. Filled with a sense of gratitude, I opted for chocolates. As I departed the scene alongside the head butler, Hugo took a familial tone, addressing me as his son and offering words of encouragement for the imminent evaluation. He stressed the importance of performing commendably and urged me not to falter in comparison to the direct descendants. Though I acknowledged his advice, my countenance concealed a deeply rooted hatred, born from Vikir's lingering emotions, now coexisting within my subconscious. Journeying toward the storage room in the company of the head butler, he began to regale me with information about the chocolates. He elucidated that these confections represented the highest quality of chocolate ever acquired by the Morg clan. However, I interjected abruptly, revealing my preference for unprocessed cacao beans renowned for their rich aroma. The head butler, somewhat taken aback by my distinctive request, sought further clarification. My determination to obtain the cacao beans remained unwavering, and I requested that they be promptly procured for me.
Master, it's worth noting that a solitary cacao bean has the potential to yield a staggering 100 liters of chocolate. If your intent in obtaining these beans is to recover from the repercussions of your soul residence, I would advise seeking a more suitable remedy, perhaps in the form of a potion or elixir.
No. These cacao beans aren't for recovery or any such mundane purpose. They are part of my strategy to secure first place in the upcoming exam with minimal effort. I have no intention of working hard except in my training. The rest is beneath me. The head butler watched with curiosity as I devoured the bitter cacao bean, intrigued by my peculiar tastes. He kindly offered to have the beans processed and sent to my room, but I declined his offer, opting to take them as they were. My interest in consuming chocolate had indeed waned, but I had a grand plan in mind for these cacao beans. They would play a pivotal role in the practical exam scheduled in 5 days. This event would be unlike anything the Baskerville clan had ever witnessed.
I'm starting to feel like your babysitter in this world, and since Vikir is in a sedated state, I'll transfer his knowledge on the Baskerville family. In this world, the Baskerville family are known as a berserker family. Owing to the rigorous training and evaluations their children undergo from a very young age. The training begins as soon as a child can take their first steps. From that moment, they are subjected to grueling tests of their stamina. During these tests, they are forbidden from lying down or resting on their stomachs, except during designated breaks. And as if this wasn't enough, when it's time for them to sleep, they must do so alongside a lifeless monster's corpse. These harsh practices are designed to toughen them to adapt to harsh environments and become resilient in the face of danger. It's these extreme practices that have instilled both fear and respect for the Baskerville family throughout the land. After this rigorous training, the children reach the age of 8, marking the beginning of the ultimate test that has solidified Baskerville's notorious reputation. This crucial event unfolds at Le Rouge at Lenoir Mountain. The mountain is teeming with formidable monsters, and it is here that the young hounds gather to face the most perilous evaluation.
Oh, how could I forget? Data, the world Jimmy Cricket, has truly accomplished wonders. I mean, it's not like you weren't the one who suggested and even created the method for soul residence. So, by all means, let's not waste time with these petty complaints and act like the fantastic system that you are. Anyway, our instructor, Shadow Dog Pavlov van Baskerville, stands before us, the young masters, and meticulously lays out the rules of the impending trial. Our task is to survive in this treacherous domain for an entire month, hunting down large and powerful monsters. The points awarded for success are as follows: 10 points for surviving, 30 points for survival without incapacitation, 50 points for outlasting fellow young masters, 70 points for defeating a monster and emerging victorious, and 90 points if we manage to accomplish all of the above. Pavlov emphasizes that there are no perfect scores, and he reminds us of Sir Hugo's lesson that a swordsman dies the moment they become arrogant. The instructor cautions us against straying from the designated area, as Le Rouge et Le Noir Mountain is a restricted zone filled with many undiscovered elements. We are advised to stay within the area where the monsters have already been subjugated. Pavlov informs us that shadow dogs, the guardian knights, will be hidden in the shadows, secretly grading our performance. As we young masters prepare for the impending practical exam, some of our peers take notice of me and begin discussing my past feats. Their comments do not perturb me. I remain composed, contemplating the challenges of Le Rouge et Le Noir Mountain, a place I have visited before. Meanwhile, the triplets who stand near me are visibly nervous, their faces glistening with sweat.
Well, how could you ever forget the grand spectacle where you magnanimously graced them with a 3-on-1 beatdown, only to generously orchestrate a little friendly death match between the losers while you stood by and then gleefully have the winner watch while you, well, let's say, handled the 2 losers, all while cackling like a maniac. You're positively a benevolent monarch master. And of course, let's not forget the part where you capped it all off by casually labeling them as weak and pitiful to dear old patriarch. Just for a bit of your own personal entertainment, you bully them out of boredom. A true virtuoso of kindness you are.
Oh, my bad. I must have missed the part where I did something wrong. Clearly, I missed the part where Vikir valiantly tried to stop me after he awakened. But, hey, let's not dwell on my apparent oversight and get back to our riveting tale, shall we? Shadow Dog Pavlov, with a solemn expression fixed upon us young masters, produced a bell, and his final address carried the weight of his wishes for good luck. The resonant chime of the bell filled the air as the exam officially commenced. We, the young masters, dispersed across the mountain, each fiercely determined to outshine the others. One of the shadow dogs assigned to observe me grew increasingly perplexed as he followed my path into a restricted area. I reached a sizable tree. Deciding it was time for a break, I left the bewildered shadow dog in my wake. While my fellow participants battled monsters and engaged in skirmishes, I focused on more unconventional activities like gathering wood and honing my skills with a wooden stick. Later, I settled beneath the tree, resting peacefully. The shadow dog's impatience grew as he questioned the nature of my actions. Eventually, the shadow dog decided to pursue more engaging endeavors, departing from my vicinity, free from the prying eyes of the shadow dog. I tossed some cacao beans into the fire, relieved that I could now proceed with the preparations I had made, unhindered by the intrusion.
Master, how do you intend to approach this exam? It seems to me that you're approaching it more casually, almost like a vacation, rather than a serious academic endeavor.
Data. By tapping into Vikir's memories, and with events aligning in my favor, I could potentially complete this exam in just a week. However, given the month-long time frame, there's no immediate pressure for me to begin. I must also consider the possibility of encountering interference from that shadow dog if I proceed with my plan too early. A few days later, I ventured into the restricted area. As I explored the region, a distinct odor of burning and charred tree roots reached my senses, a telltale sign of the monster I had been hunting. Before me stood the Hound, a formidable creature exuding an aura of danger. Its mouth and eyes emitted sulfurous flames, and its fiery breath was deadly. Surviving a bite from this creature was a near impossible feat. I found myself in a precarious situation. I quickly assessed the situation, capitalizing on the Hellhound's vulnerabilities. One of its weaknesses was its limited ability to only move in straight lines. I utilized this flaw to my advantage, using water to create barriers and exploit its aversion to crossing water. gaining precious moments to evade its fiery attacks. Another vulnerability I observed in canine monsters was that they tended to open their mouths while running. Seizing this opportune moment, I skillfully tossed a cacao bean into the hellhound's mouth, rendering it helpless and writhing in agony. With a swift, precise strike, I pierced the hellhound's kidney, effectively ending its life. As I absorbed the monster's energy, I could feel my body growing stronger. I pondered how Hugo would react when I present the head of a B+ rank monster as an 8-year-old. Eager for more challenges and rewards, I stood confidently, secure in the knowledge that I had secured first place in the practical exam.
I understand now. Chocolate is known to be toxic to canines, and when considering the bloody bean's capacity to produce 100 liters of chocolate with a single bean, it becomes clear how detrimental it would be to a canine monster like the hellhound.
However, my moment of triumph was abruptly interrupted as a group of hellhounds approached, likely seeking vengeance for their fallen comrade. I remained composed and poised, acutely aware of their vulnerabilities and how to overcome them. As the hellhounds closed in, I drew my sword, a smirk of confidence gracing my face. I swiftly severed the head of one of the fallen hellhounds and taunted the rest, fully aware that they were no match for my skills and knowledge. With the successful defeat of one of their kind, I was prepared to take them all down. However, to my surprise, the hellhounds began to whimper, a behavior I couldn't fathom. Hellhounds were known for their fierce and relentless nature. They would never submit to their prey, even in the face of death. My mind raced as I tried to discern what could possibly make these formidable beasts feel such unease. As I turned to investigate, I laid my eyes on a monstrous 3-headed creature, standing boldly before me. It was a Cerberus, the legendary 3-headed dog from Greek mythology, towering at an imposing 7 meters in size.
I tried to inform you, but you were too caught up in belittling those hellhounds to notice that a Cerberus was approaching.
Cerberus bore an A+ rank rating, so a creature of immense danger. My bewilderment grew as I questioned why a Cerberus, which typically resided on the 7th ridge of Le Rouge et Le Noir mountain, had ventured to this location. It was known as the ultimate lookout monster. Observing the Cerberus closely, I noticed that it bore wounds and multiple arrows stuck in its body, evidence of being hunted. It had fled to this area, being pursued relentlessly. This presented an opportunity for me to face and potentially defeat an injured A+ rank monster, a rare and rewarding chance. Plus, it's fortunate that Vikir awakened just before the start of the exam, as it opens up the option of using soul resonance. Not wasting no time, me and Vikir preformed soul resonance fusion. All the weapons at my disposal worked effectively against the injured Cerberus. With my honed swordsmanship, developed through confrontations with the demon clans, I landed several precise strikes on the Cerberus, believing that I had a chance of victory. However, the sudden ending of the fusion allowed the Cerberus to retaliate with its formidable claws. The first strike shattered my sword, and the second sent me hurtling through the air, crashing into a tree trunk with a resounding thud. Blood spilled from my mouth as the impact left me grievously injured and incapacitated. As my vision slowly cleared, a surge of panic coursed through me. I feared the worst, considering the direct attack of the Cerberus and the searing pain in my left arm. I cautiously examined my arm, relieved to find that it was still attached to my body, albeit bearing injuries. I realized that the magical properties of the river Styx had likely played a role in protecting me from the Cerberus's full force, although I knew I couldn't rely solely on the river's protection. My relief was short-lived. Another encounter with the Cerberus would likely prove fatal. I needed to evade its relentless pursuit. I dodged as the Cerberus lunged at me once more. I recognized that my best course of action was to flee. As I sprinted through the perilous terrain, my eyes darted around, searching for an escape route. And then, salvation presented itself. An iron fence stood just a few yards away. Hope surged within me. If I could breach that fence, I would be out of the restricted area. With every ounce of strength and determination, I pushed myself harder. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I propelled myself through the gate, and a rush of relief flooded my heart. I had succeeded in escaping the restricted area, but the danger was far from over. My objective now was to reach the safe haven I had prepared for myself before embarking on this perilous mission. As I continued to run, scanning the surrounding woods for any signs of the pursuing hellhound, my heart raced with the fear of being caught by the relentless beast. I scoured the nearby woods, searching for the pit I had prepared beforehand. Finally, I spotted what I was looking for, a carefully concealed pit. With the hellhound hot on my heels, I jumped forward, narrowly avoiding its snapping jaws. The beast plummeted into the pit, which was filled with wooden spears. I couldn't help but smile, knowing that my preparations had paid off. The wooden spears were coated with a deadly essence derived from the bloody bean, acting as a potent poison against canid monsters. Cerberus growled and foam started oozing from its mouth, but I remained focused and ready for the next phase of the battle. This fight was shaping up to be one of the toughest challenges of my life. With a wooden spear in hand, I took careful aim and hurled it at Cerberus, striking the Hellhound's side. However, Cerberus remained alive and continued to approach me menacingly. I counted its steps with precision as it closed in, one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When Cerberus took the 7th step, it came to a sudden halt and collapsed right in front of me. I released a sigh of relief, confirming that the rumors I had heard were true. The wooden spear I had used was no ordinary weapon. It was a spear laced with the venomous fang of the deadly bloody mamba snake. This venom prevented its victim from taking more than 7 steps after being bitten. I had kept it hidden since my youth, knowing that it could serve me well one day. As the energy from Cerberus's lifeless body entered me, I stood over the 3 lifeless heads of the fallen beast. I marveled at the newfound power I possessed, but my thoughts swiftly shifted to the challenge of transporting the massive carcass back. I knew that the cause of Cerberus's demise would be evident to anyone who saw it, and I began to contemplate who might become a witness. Perhaps the guardian knight who had witnessed me crafting the wooden spears could be of assistance. However, my thoughts ventured into a different realm entirely. Cerberus was a gatekeeper, guarding something of significant importance.